All right, everyone. Welcome to Lead Generation Week, day number 5, session number 3. Thank you for joining us today. I think it's been a really great week. We've had, I think, 18 different sessions packed in, and they've all been awesome. Just so you know, if you're watching live, they will be. These are all being recorded and will be uploaded to the app over the next 4 to 5 days. It takes a little bit of time to upload all these, but they will be uploaded. As I've said in every session, make sure to participate and ask questions. There's a couple ways to do that. The first way is obviously to use your mobile or desktop app. There's a session Q&A there that you simply need to type in your questions and we'll get them answered. Or there's a little icon on the screen that says Q&A, pretty obvious. You can type in it there and we'll see those questions there. But please do ask questions. I mean, it's really, like I said, every single time, the best way to get information that you want, that's valuable to you and frankly to the group, out of our experts that are presenting. So don't hesitate to ask questions. Otherwise, I want to bring on Josh Friend. He's the founder and CEO of Insellerate. Josh, thank you for joining today, and I'm just going to hand it over to you and let you take it from here.
Awesome. Hey, Mike, really appreciate it. Thank you very much for having us. We've really appreciated being part of the lead generation world. Found a lot of value in it for us and our clients as well. So today, the conversation we're going to talk about is something we've at Insellerate we've talked about quite a bit, which is just managing and empowering the digital transaction in the digital world. A little bit about Insellerate. We're in the business of really what we have been in the business of helping lenders close more loans. So really helping with that financial transaction. Our business is not just to sell you software or technology, but it's really to actually provide an outcome and a solution for you. So we help lenders and financial institutions sell their customers, communicate with their customers, and we do that at quite scale. These numbers are actually a little outdated. I need to get it updated. I think we're probably closer to 100,000 new applications on a monthly basis. Just as a company, we've been growing rapidly. We've added 29 new customers so far this year. So we definitely have gained a lot of market share. We help a lot of lenders in the industry, people you notice, large names, small names, credit unions, banks, brokers, independent mortgage companies. Just a sampling of all these the companies we help. Just to give you an idea of who we work with and kind of what we do, just so you know as we talk about kind of the digital mortgage transaction and what it is, show you some of our expertise or knowledge in there. First, I thought, I'm not going to take you through a bunch of slides or system stuff. I really wanted to talk about where we're really at right now in the marketplace. And first, just thought with the questions, really, what is a digital transaction? So a definition I saw and I thought I liked was the ability to serve a customer your goods or service without physical interactions or geographic limitations while utilizing technology to improve the customer experience and efficiency of the company. Let's just break that down a little bit. Really, what we're talking about is this digital transaction. It's no different than a physical transaction in the sense that you have someone who wants to buy your good or service. Right? So that has never changed, as people are always wanting to buy. What's changed now is the ability to transact and buy things directly from companies and the ability for a company to directly market its products or goods or services to you, the consumer, right? We can take a look at just the market in general and kind of where has this really gone and, how are consumers really changing and what does this look like? I thought a really good slide just to kind of point this out for everyone to understand. We probably already know this, but our consumers are already digital, very much so. And we're already buying our brands and our goods and services digitally from non-traditional brick and mortar companies. I have a few different consumer direct brands here. Kizik shoes. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that, but they're actually one of my favorite shoes I've found online, 100% online brand. Reached out to me through Facebook, and then they targeted me on Instagram and Facebook for, 2 months until I started buying their shoes. Next one, Dollar Shave Club. A lot of people are very familiar with the Dollar Shave Club. People are buying and start off with selling razors. Now they're selling the entire line of product, skincare, hair care, everything. Joybird, this is an online furniture company. I've bought furniture there for myself. It's great that with today's high-speed internet, 1080p screens, 3D visualization of products, you're able to actually look at a couch or a sofa or a chair or a table or a lamp and actually make decisions to buy. Casper mattresses, there's a handful of mattresses that have gone online. They're going directly to consumers. So this isn't a change in how consumers are currently buying. This is just the continuation of how consumers are buying. Now, in our industries, in financial services, mortgages, insurance, auto loans, those types of things, we haven't caught up with our consumers. I thought a slide that would highlight where this has taken us, especially after COVID. I threw this one in here, and what I call this is food direct. We've had fast food for a long time, right? There's nothing new about that, but now we're talking about like food direct, not even fast food. We're talking about food that's uncooked, so you cook it yourself. And a couple of highlights of how quickly the consumer changed COVID-19. So the first slide here, the first graphic is Blue Apron.
Hey, Josh,
Yeah.
just sorry to interrupt you, but make sure to share your screen if you can. Hit that. It's not being shared at the moment.
Thank you. I really apologize. Yeah, let me.
You could hit the.
Yep.
There's the share screen button right at the bottom there.
I got it.
On the. Cool.
So then everyone that has been listening has not seen my screen.
Yeah, we've been able to just see you. All right, now we're good. Thanks.
Apologize for that. What I was just kind of quickly, the brands I was going over, which is really our digital brands already out there. Most people have noticed these brands. This isn't probably new to everyone. But the consumers are already buying digitally. This is the slide that I thought would kind of highlight even what's happened since COVID-19. What we're seeing with lenders right now is this move to digital and virtual loan process and virtual origination has gone faster than it has previously, just because we now are forced to be digital. We couldn't go shake hands. We couldn't go close mortgages in person. We couldn't take applications in person. So we had to be digital. It wasn't just in our industry, it was in all industries. And how did consumers respond and what the market looked like? So this was from March. So this is the first graphic is Blue Apron. Blue Apron, which some people may know. Blue Apron is a supplier. They'll send you, food that you can cook at home. Their stock went up 800% in a day. One day, market gain, as soon as we said everyone has to stay home, their stock went through the roof because consumers started signing up for that service in droves. Instacart, one day saw a 218% increase in its downloads. Amazon Prime, if you've ever been using it, the extended delivery times. I no longer could get things in a day. It would tell me it's going to take 2 or 3 weeks to get things that came in the door. So what we realize is the consumer demand has been there. The market has moved to this digital experience where really someone wants to buy your product from you and they just don't have to be in the store to do it anymore. And the question we've asked is, how have lenders really kept up with this? Right? If you walk into a store and I go to sell you something and you walk to the cash register and I don't talk to you, or you ask questions or no one asks questions to, that store wouldn't work very well. Wouldn't be in business for a long time. That wouldn't be the most efficient. So what have we seen when it comes to digital transactions from our lenders? Well, unfortunately, it's really not that much better. It's a sad statement in how we're handling consumers, but it also gives lots of opportunities for lenders to do this correctly. So we've done a study now for multiple years. We've surveyed, this last one's over 1,100 financial institutions. We went online and we asked them for a mortgage. We then track to see, when do they call us? When do they text us? When do they email us? How often did they do it? And how persistent were they? If you want to, you can come to our website. We have there's more study case material behind this as well, but this just highlights it. From our study, 64% of these lenders never even contacted the consumer one time. Went online, said, hey, I want to buy something, and then they never got contacted, right? So what I want to talk about is 5 steps here on how to look at this digital transaction and how you can be successful in that. Right. So step one, I'll just say, is communication. Just plain and simple. Again, someone's trying to buy from you. What we see as the biggest hurdle for financial institutions and companies to get into this digital transaction is being able to have good communication. One is automation. You need automation so that when someone applies or asks for something, you're not dependent on human capital to have to make sure that takes place, but instead you have a system that automates those communications transactions. The other thing is telephony integration. So you're now dealing with customers that are online, on phone, in email, potentially in person. So you have to make sure that when they're online, you can connect with them digitally. You also have to make sure when they're on the phone, you're able to manage that transaction the same way. Last one is multi-channel engagement. I recently had someone was asking for was describing to their daughter, she was looking for a bracelet or something, and said, "Oh, grab the one that looks like an old phone cord. It looks like a phone cord." Daughter said, "What does a phone cord look like? Who knows what a phone cord looks like anymore?" So I just kind of thought that was a really great way to highlight this point. Sure, I'll remember these phones. I don't know if you ever remember a TV antenna on top of the roof, or newspapers, right? That was how we communicate to people: a phone call, a newspaper, television, maybe radio, maybe direct mail. Today, this is just some of them, right? The main ones: Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, right? Those are just social media platforms, and there's many more where your consumers are now at. Now, when it comes to television, it's no longer a television antenna. It's things like Hulu, Apple TV, Netflix, Amazon Prime. You know, there's a limitless amount of these different ways that we now communicate with our customers. We need to be where they're at. If you're trying to just stay in front of them in one channel, like email, or you're just trying to call them, you're not staying in front of them. You're not being relevant, because your consumer is no longer into single channels. You know, recently during this stay-at-home COVID thing, we started watching Hulu, and I don't have a paid subscription to Hulu, so I have to watch commercials. I have to tell you, it was really entertaining. It's been a while since I've seen commercials. And it just really highlights that once was a medium, commercials were the main medium for someone to find out about your product, to get brand and drive response, has now become kind of a side note. Commercials are no longer what they once were. Now it's about, how do you digitally stay in contact with someone, right? So that goes beyond just being able to talk to these people. Then it's the strategy, right? So if you create the ability to talk to your consumers, but if you don't build strategy behind it, you're going to really decrease the consumer experience, which is going to make the transaction, you're going to lower your conversion rates, less happy. You need to, when you look at this world now, you have to stop and start to design your borrower experience and your digital communication with strategy. This is an example that we do for lenders, but any lender can sit down and do this for themselves. What you want to do is you start with the very first touch point. Contact it, to not contact it, to application, to in process, into a closed transaction, to repeat customer. All these different ways someone would come into what used to be your physical store. Same thing as a consumer experience. They're walking in the door. What are the first thing they see? How do you interact with them? It's the same transaction. Now it's, when do I email them? When do I call them? When do I text them? When should I reach out to them through social media, or direct mail, or ringless voicemail, or an Instagram, or Google AdWords? The strategy behind when I should contact and communicate all these customers is huge to actually lay this out. Right? So communication is one of the major points that you need to have in making digital mortgages, digital insurance, whatever your digital transaction is, and to make it powerful and impactful for you as a company, is you have to have strategy laid out. And so once you have strategy laid out and you know that you have to communicate in multiple channels, the next big hurdle most lenders or companies have is just data alignment, right? There's so many silos within organizations now. People have systems they call CRMs, or market automation platforms. In the mortgage industry, you have a loan origination system, a point of sale solution. You have CRM, marketing automation, and servicing platform. And some lenders have multiple of these systems. So how can you create a great borrower experience and manage a borrower journey and build that perfect outcome if you can't have data alignment? So if your main system where you're processing the transaction is not communicating with your CRM and marketing automation platform, you're not going to be able to serve the right message at the right time. We've all gotten this experience. I have recently where I bought something from a online vendor, and then the next day I get an ad in my email inbox saying, hey, get 10% off buying this thing that I just bought the day before. Not really a great transaction. Wasn't the right email to send to me. That company now, when I get their emails, they're not really relevant to me because now I know that some of them are a waste of time. However, if that email would have been more relevant, it said, hey, you just bought these shoes. We have a discount on socks. The next time you want to buy shoes, we're going to give you something. We're going to give you a free pair of socks. If it would have actually tied to my transaction, I would have been able to connect with it. And now all of a sudden that brand becomes relevant. They're helpful. They're not wasting my time. They know who I am. They care about me. But in order to do that, you have to have data alignment. So you have to understand where all your data sits. And that's a big struggle point for a lot of financial institutions is where's all your data? How is all the data get interacted with? What are all the touch points? And then making sure that you're able to transact and have data talk to one another. Once you get past data alignment, you have to get into just really the system integration, right? So you have to find out where is your data sit? How can you manage it? Does it all talk to each other? Is it formatted? You have to understand your terminology in your data. So you have to define your milestones of your process, whether you call it a contacted lead or a connected lead or an application or a credit application. Define your data, then define your system integration so you can enable them to then connect them all, right? You need to integrate it. Everything should be talking to one another. And again, this is where a lot of people struggle is the systems we have out in the marketplace are kind of old technology. So it's hard for all these systems and platforms to talk to each other, but it's very important to get them to talk to one another. That way you're able to really manage a borrower transaction, a borrower journey. The way we do it, I mean, we tie it all into one platform, right? So from the CRM, lead management side of the platform, to the engagement side, it sits in one core central location. So whether you're dealing with your referral partners or agents or consumers, whether you're sending out content, everything is being ran out of one platform and everything can integrate into one platform. That's one of the major things you need in digital strategy is to have integration. You know, it's the same thing as we call customer service. We have this experience, you call in, you give me information, they say, I can't help you, you need to talk to my supervisor, let me transfer you. They transfer you and the next person answers the phone and what do? They ask you for all the same questions, verify your mother's maiden name, your date of birth. Those transactions leave us, the consumer, unhappy with that provider, right? That's not a great transaction. We don't want to do the same thing with our borrowers, right? We want to make sure that data is aligned, systems are integrated, so the communication, the process they're going down, the pathway fits with what they're doing. And you need all these systems to really talk and work with one another, right? Get the data aligned, get the communication automated, get your systems put together, turn that on, run that. Once you're able to put all those pieces in place and start running, the next thing you really have to focus on is report and react. Step 4. You need to then report on the data, okay? You want to report on all the different parts of the data, from marketing sources that work, to creative that drives conversions, to contact strategies that work the best. Does it take 2 calls, 3 calls to get a hold of a customer? How many is the ideal communications before they transact, turn in an application? You want to be able to manage all these data points and see them, right? So you really need to visualize these. And once you look at all of them, you then react to it. Right? I love the whiteboard. Get in front of the whiteboard, start drawing up what you actually need to do, right? From step 1 to step 2 to step 3 to repeat the process. It's a never-ending process. You start off at the very beginning, you go to the end. Once you get to the end, you start back over, report, react, and do it again. So you need the reporting of this. So areas where financial institutions struggle is having reporting. And really the fundamental foundation of that reporting, again, comes down to data alignment. You have to have data alignment to make reporting accurate. You also need system integration to get that data alignment, right? So if you get data alignment, system integration done, you then can get accurate reporting. So if you can get accurate reporting, you then can read, react, change your strategies and see what's working best, and really proactively go after the business. So this is kind of a crucial point, is being able to manage and actually see what's going on and report on that. Once you really, kind of the last final step I would say in this digital transaction for consumers, what you really are looking at is ultimately focus on the consumer experience. Nothing's changed. Someone's still trying to buy a mattress, get a mortgage, get car insurance, buy some new shoes, order a television, whatever it may be. What once was on this left-hand side, right? You're sitting there, they're buying from you face to face. They're in the store. Maybe they smell a candle bean that's burning over there. So you're a clothing store. It's warm, it's nice in there, it smells good. It looks great aesthetically, it's somewhere you want to be. That's a consumer experience, right? Disneyland, they call it the guest experience. If you go to Disneyland, they want to know what's your experience to buy a ticket? Is it hard to buy a ticket? What's it like going through the line, right? You should be doing the same thing with your business, right? Once you've built this, become a customer, go through the journey yourself and see where there's points where it become difficult, redundancies, or areas where you realize, wow, we're not communicating to the borrowers enough here because I don't understand what's going on, right? So you just focus on the consumer experience, and that's going to drive, how you can become successful in digital transactions. Because the reality is, it's always been about the consumer experience, whether it was in face-to-face or online. It's that consumer experience, and really to drive that consumer experience home to make it work, be most efficient, is data alignment, systems integration, automated communications, and the ability to report and react on the data, right? So those are like the four big things that drive you to ultimately allowing you to focus on the consumer experience. And this is where we see, a lot of ingenuity comes in here. Think about it again. If you're selling a product, you are a consumer, you understand what the consumer experience is like. You can go through your own transaction and see how that turns out. And you can judge yourself, right? Secret shop yourself. You should secret shop. You should apply online at your company and see how quickly someone responds to you, to see what they say. Those are all things that you should be doing and consistently checking on your business, because your customers are doing it, right? You want to have the same experience so you can understand what that experience looks like. And we're really excited about, whole continual movement to this digital world and to more consumer direct products. Again, the lines blurring in the mortgage industry between consumer direct and retail, because now it's all the same. Consumers are consumers. They're going online to find homes and shop for mortgages, and they're also coming down and shaking your hand when they can as well. So how do these worlds blend together? The market's moving there already. COVID-19 sped this up by a couple of years by sending people home, by the fact that people are now buying stuff online they've never purchased online before. I used Instacart. I've never used Instacart before, but I had to start using it because it became easier for me. Lots of people are doing that now. That's only going to continue. So if we learned anything over the last 2 months, what we just went through, you have to have this technology in place, right? So those lenders who were able to go and immediately communicate to the customers what was going on, they really did well in this marketplace, and they really grew and they really thrived. So I'm going to open up for some questions, and I have some questions here. How have the follow-up and outreach changed in the last few months? Do you expect to go back to normal once people go back to their normal routines? What we have seen, yes, we have definitely seen an increase in communication. So over the last 2 months, the willingness for a consumer to take an email in their inbox, respond to a text message went up, right? So we did see higher amounts of communications. Consumers really don't know what's going on, so they wanted more communication. Do I see it going back to normal? Yeah, I do. because soon enough, consumers are going to know what's going on. They're not going to need to be told every day or, every 2 days that you're still open for business. That changes. But we definitely saw an increase in communication drastically within the first 2 weeks of it, and it's kept up to speed. And I would predict over the next 30 days, it'll slow down again.
I'm gonna, Josh, we have another question here. It'd probably be easier for me just to read it off instead of typing them into the thing since we're going through the Q&As here.
Yeah.
The question is, with tying in marketing outlets like Facebook and other sources, how easy or difficult is it, or how do you recommend bringing all those analytics and those different components into a closed loop solution? Is that possible?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, this would be a great plug for what we do as Insellerate. 100% is possible. That's what we do. I mean, that our platform does just that. It automates Facebook custom audience targeting, Instagram targeting, Google ad spend targeting, direct mail, text messages, rings, voicemail, phone calls. And for the mortgage industry, we also supply content. So you can do that. Yeah, I will tell you, as far as we know, there's no other platform that does this right now. So it's not like it's widely available. So that's why people are asking the question. But we automate those emails, the Facebook, all that social media. And that's really where the power comes in, is this stuff works. Lenders started using our engagement platform. We started this 1.5 years ago, the engagement side of it. As soon as they started using it, they were extremely happy. And it was like, of course it works. You're now marketing to customers you weren't marketing to before. You're going to drive business.
Yeah. The other question that we've got here is what your thoughts are on digital mortgage trends. So you talked a little bit about this, I think, but where do you see the sort of full service digital mortgage trends going?
Yeah. So there's two sides to making a digital mortgage more accessible. One is the front end origination, making sure the sales staff can communicate with, market to, and stay in front of folks. The second part is the back office. Part of the challenge in the mortgage industry that's kept mortgages from being as digital as they could be is our back office technology is really old. Most people in the industry know it's antiquated. So we're seeing people now in the last year actually focus on back office efficiencies. A year ago in the digital mortgage space, no lenders were really working on back office efficiencies in this space. They were working about what we do, lead management, communication, or thinking about how do I talk to these customers. Now the big thing is, well, if it takes me 35 days to close a loan in the back, can I use these digital transactions? And the answer is yes. So the thing about a digital mortgage is if you start the transaction, this is what we see is you can reduce the root cause errors of loans. So from the very beginning, if I spell microfree correctly, my whole application is done right? Let's say if I know you hold your loan on title as Michael A. Free, it's your middle initial. If I don't know that up front and I'm 3 weeks in the transaction, guess what I just did? I just had you sign a bunch of documents you have to sign all over again. And I potentially ordered things from the government that had the wrong name on it. So now I've just delayed. Now I have to come back. Hey, sorry, Mike, I got to get you to sign all this stuff over again. I just delayed my transaction by a week or two. So we're seeing lenders say, well, that's how we can save money is how, let's get that back office more efficient. So that way we can serve customers faster, cheaper, and make them happier.
Great. That's a question I have at the moment. I didn't know if I interrupted your presentation or you were going on, but.
No, that was it. Yeah, actually, we're at the end. I was just gonna
perfect.
leave it out for everyone out there to how they can find out more about me.
Perfect. Yeah. Because certainly there's going to be, this is obviously recorded and people want to reach out and ask you questions thereafter. So they can obviously go to insellerate.com. Any other information you want to share and finish off with?
No, I just listen, for those lenders that are out there, definitely reach out to us. We're growing quickly because we've been helping a lot of lenders grow and succeed. Insurance companies are out there. That's actually a space we're going into in the third quarter. We already have some smaller beta clients that we're working with now to find that product, but we're going to be in that space as well. So we'd love to talk to insurance companies and out there in the marketplace as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sharing all this information. It was really, really great. And we always appreciate your participation in all our events. So thanks a lot, Josh. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Mike. We appreciate you having us. Thank you.